Okay, this is the assembly instructions for the Brighton Lifetime shed. I've already put the shed together, but I just wanted to give a quick overview on some things that I did that maybe you could learn from, because I did make a few mistakes along the way. As you can see, there's a concrete foundation for this one, and I'll just go through the instructions with you real quick. Okay, so assembly instructions, it tells you what you need. It's all pretty much straightforward stuff. It's in like 3 different languages, so chances are we'll have your language. So concrete platform, they give you the minimum and maximum sizes that it should be. So luckily that was not one of the mistakes I made. As you can see, it fits on there. So this is section 1. Wood, that's if you do a wood platform. So obviously if you do a wood platform, you can follow those instructions, but I did the concrete. So all right, so this is where they're getting started with the truss assembly, and that's what we did first. Now on the trusses, it tells you exactly what bags of supplies to use and what tools you need for that section. So one thing that I can remember off the top of my head is when we were putting these trusses together, see this piece right here? That's where the actual the gable and the roof is, like the bend, and these bolts here will go into these bolts here. And just one quick note is when you're putting them together, you want to have the flat side on the, on the inside of this piece. I'll show you on the shed real quick, because the roof panels actually rest in that part. So if the bigger screw head is on the see, like right here, this is the roof truss, this is the big screw head, or the big bolt head, and inside this part is this, basically is this, and then these roof tiles all kind of lock into that truss. So I apologize for the poor light, but I don't have a light in here yet. So that's just a quick tip on putting the trusses together. It's pretty straightforward. Yeah, so let's just move on real quick, get this thing assembled. So it tells you the parts that you need, how to go about doing it, and they do tell you on here to how to put the screw heads in, because yeah, so that's there. Just kind of putting them together still. Putting them together, the rod goes through the middle last. And then you obviously repeat the steps, because you got 5 different trusses. One of the trusses was in a different container. We thought it was a different size, but it wasn't. They're all the same. Gable assembly. This part was pretty straightforward. If you notice, you have a 2-piece one here and a 1-piece one here. The 1-piecer goes in the front, and that is because the doors end up actually going into the front of the gable, and the 2-piecer goes in the back. So that's just a quick note. I don't know if they clarified that on there, but we were kind of wondering that. So then you can see them putting the vent through there. Very easy. Again, putting the vent through there. Very easy work. What is this one here? Align the header. Yeah, we did that. We put the bracket on there. Also easy. Left door assembly, they show you all the packets, or yeah, all the stuff you need for that. Now one thing they do too that's kind of annoying is this cat box here. There's different things in that box that you don't all use in one step, so you have to come back to this box a lot. It's in a lot of the steps, so just kind of keep the parts together. It'll help you out in the end. So this is putting the left door together. The rod goes through the door, easy peasy. And then yeah, this part was interesting. These brackets go over the locks, which are right here. So this whole bracket here slides off the door, but obviously we have it bolted on. One thing I do want to mention to you real quick, the floor on one of the first steps, I thought that I should be mounting the floor to the concrete. I'm just like, I'm thinking, hey, why not just mount the floor now? It's the beginning, it'll give us a good start. But that was a mistake. The floor should be mounted in the end after the shed's already completely put together. So that's a very important note. It would have made a lot of things easier, because in the end, the doors need to be balanced out. So don't mount the floor until the very end. So yeah, that goes, this piece goes over the locks, and that holds the locks into place. That's for the left door, and then putting the assemblies on, pretty easy. Now this is the actual door handle. This got a little more complicated, putting the door handle together. Actually, it wasn't the door handle, it was the locking mechanism. But yeah, none of this stuff is really stood out as having problems. And this is the door actual latch section. So you see there's all these moving parts. They give you a thing on the book to scan to show you how to do it on video. We did not use that. It was pretty self-explanatory. It was just basically, as you can see, this step right here, it's just one thing after another. So this is what it looks like actually put together. The door handle, you push your thumb here, that lifts the lever. So you got a washer here, that goes on first. You got the lifter, and then you got this metal plate. This holds the spring that moves the handle back. So one quick note too, this plate right here is adjustable. You can see we're high up on it, and on this side we're also high up on it. This is so when you close it, you can line it up. Sorry, bad camera work, but you see how nicely that lines up? It didn't line up like that before at all. It was way messed up, and the door tops were also very uneven. One of the last steps in the manual tells you how to get the doors even. So don't try to do that as you're going. Just finish the thing, and you even it out in the very end. That's another thing. We were trying to get the doors even before the last steps, and it just wasn't working out the way we were doing it. But they tell you in the end how to even it out. So that's more of the door handle put together. Not too hard. You just got to follow the order of operations of what goes on the bolt first, second, third, fourth. This is the floor assembly. It just clicks together. Very easy. One piece is front, one piece is back. That's the Lifetime, has the logo on it. That's how you know what's front and back. And this is where you're putting the doors up. And they tell you to put the doors up first. Or no, they don't. I don't think they did. It doesn't sound familiar. So these were the screws, not to mount into the concrete, just the screws to hold the panels together. So it's not mounted at this point. And now you're getting the wall assembly. This is where it actually got exciting, because it would take form, if you will, or take shape. So start with the corner panels. They kind of, it's kind of hard to see. I can't really show you now, but the corner panels, they go in to the tab here, and then you slide them over, and then the other one kind of just clicks in. So it clicks in on the sides here. So one thing they told you can do is stick a shim or something under here, and then you push it down, and it clicks in a little easier, because it can be tricky to click them in, but we got them all. So here the walls are going up, panels are going up. There's the ADZ screws. You use a ton of these screws for this stuff. Cruising right along. Again, see the cat box for this step 2 is part of it. This is putting up the shelves. The shelves are really easy to put up. They're in the back of the shed, and again, it's dark, and I apologize, but yeah, they're all up. The corner shelves are super easy. The brackets are pretty self-explanatory. They tell you where to line them up and where to mount the brackets. So they show you right there and right there. Just make sure you pay attention to which ones go where. All these are shelves. Okay, now the doors went in. Now this is where we also messed up, so don't mess this up. Putting the doors in, we had the doors in, and they don't really stand up well until you put the gable on. So it was me and my dad doing it, and we had the doors in, and they're kind of like hanging precariously because, as you can see, the gable actually is what puts it together. So one of them fell. This one fell like this, dropped all the way in and fell all the way flat. And what that did was this plastic piece right here broke. So that was broken and it bent this out a little bit. It still works fine, but it was definitely a boo-boo. And I'm not really sure how to get around that, but I would say that would be a great if you had 3 people, because you could have one person holding each door and one person putting the gable on. Okay, so this is where they're telling you to put the gable on, and that'll really hold the doors into place. And then there's screws, yada yada yada. These little tabs here, those are just for they're called gap tabs. I'd recommend actually putting these on as the very last step, because after you get the doors balanced, the gap tabs change and the gap changes, because you're actually shimming out the sides of the shed. All right, roof assembly. This was a lot of fun, and I'm definitely being sarcastic. What are you doing, little babies? Okay, sorry. All right, so you're putting the trusses up, and the panels go on top of it. I think there's 12 of them. They're all the same. And for these steps, you got to make sure this little tab in the roof panel lines up with the girder or the truss inside. I'll see if I can show you in here. It's so hard for you to see. Yeah, these are like the little skylights, kind of. But the tabs are right there. That's exactly what they look like. And they need to line up with this in order for the roof to go on correctly. But yeah, we got this cost going. It took about 6.5 hours to put the whole thing together. But well worth it, because obviously it's a lot of storage. Okay, now this is the more A to Z screws for the roof panels. Just getting them put together. I'm trying to think if anything happened here. This is where we found out, that the outside cap needed to be mounted on the outside versus the inside. These guys, again, needed to be mounted on the outside. Otherwise, the roof panels weren't fitting in there correctly. Okay, so more roof panels going on, again, more roof panels going on. And now there was like top pieces, and this is not the skylights I showed you. These two, I believe, are different, and all the ones in the middle are the same. Those are pretty easy, but again, it was really helpful to have 2 people at that step. And then this was the last little skylight pieces. And then there's little tabs to put in the back, because in the back of the shed there was 2 holes, and those tabs close up the holes. Okay, this is the window pane installation. Very, very easy. By this point, you're cruising. There's film on the windows. You pull the film off of both sides, and then these tabs just screw in, and the window just goes in like that. So close it, lock it. Make sure it's all the way down, because this window didn't want to go down, and I was mounting these, and I was like, this is not fitting right. But as you can see, tons of screws on the inside, tons of them everywhere. Hi, Munchkin. Hi, big boy. So yeah, by this point, you're pretty much done. And now, the fun part, this is what the doors looked like when it was done, and I was like, what the hell? So they tell you if the left door is higher, insert a shim underneath, and the right and the front and left rear corners of the shed until the doors are the same height. So basically, because my right door was a lot higher than my left door before, I shimmed up the left front. You can see the shims are there, and this is where I actually had to loosen up the bolts that were holding the floor down into the concrete. So left front and right rear. See, I've got it shimmed here, and I've got it shimmed here. So I was really skeptical. I did not think that was going to work, but sure enough, it evened out the doors, and that was that. After that, I tightened it back down to the ground, and that was a wrap. So I hope this helps. I read a lot of reviews saying that, you know, it was a nightmare to install, or some people are like, oh, it was easy and I got it done in 3 hours. You have to be pretty good to get it done in 3 hours. I would say that after I've done this once, I could probably do it again in maybe 3.5 hours with somebody, or 4 hours. But the few parts that we got snagged up on, you know, were a pain, but we got through it, and the shed looks really great now. I'll get a view of it after I close this up. I realize this lock isn't stopping anybody, but it just keeps the door closed. So yeah, this is what the shed looks like from the outside. I love it. It holds a ton of stuff. It's 8 by 15. And yeah, I hope this helped, because you know, I was not looking forward to putting this together myself. But yeah, those are the tabs I was talking about. Those are just holes, if not. So yeah, that's it.